How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing really well. I'm really excited about tonight's show.
Me too. I'm so pumped.
Yeah. Hi, Blaine. So, tonight we have the huge honor of having the godfather of the paranormal, John Zaffis, joining us today. And let's go ahead and he's had over 50 years of experience in the paranormal. And let's go ahead and bring him on up.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
doing well. How
Great.
are
How are
you?
I'm
you?
doing good, doing good. It's starting to warm up and everything's thawing out, so I'm a happy camper.
Absolutely.
So happy about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I used to always say that I was more of a summer guy, but I think spring is where it's at. Everything's coming back to life and the snow's melting. Like it's great.
I love the spring and I love the
Yeah.
fall.
Yep.
The fall,
Me
the
too.
most.
Yeah. Fall's great. Winter, boo.
Yeah, I'm done
Yeah.
with this winter weather.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I think we're
yeah.
past it though. I keep trying to manifest that we're done.
Well, we were supposed to get hammered with a big one. They were saying that all the rain we're getting,
Uh,
that it was supposed to be a snowstorm, and if it was, we would have ended up with 2 foot plus again. So it would have been another freaking nightmare.
oh no. Well, I'm very grateful that it's rain.
Me and you both.
Yeah. Oh
Well,
man.
so both of us have a lot of questions for you. I
Okay.
think one of my first questions is what is the most dangerous object you feel you've encountered and why?
I would say when it comes in, it's so hard because it's a lot of the ritual items that make me a little bit more nervous than most items, daggers or things removed from altars where there were a lot of dark things that were tied in with it. So I have idols, I have daggers, I have different things that have been created. I have Dybbuk boxes. Well, that's another whole created thing, as we all know. There was never
Mm-hmm.
really any such thing, but they exist today because everybody created them. But I have one that's super creepy that I've never even opened yet.
Oh,
And or two, I'm sorry, I got two of them that have never been opened. So I think that, it's like several items that I look at and I take that step back and just, say to myself, okay, I'm not going to be the one that's going to open these things up. I'm
mhm.
crazy, but I'm not stupid.
Do you have any kind of like speculation as to what would happen if you did open these things up?
Well, it's a choice between if something does come out of it and starts haunting everything, my wife killing me or the spirit killing me. So
I,
I got the
I think I'd be
choice,
more afraid of my wife, honestly. Yeah.
right? I hear you. But, I don't know because my thing is, and I still look at this from, the roots of doing a lot of this work.
Mhm.
Again, I definitely, there's no doubt that I know there's a tremendous amount of things that exist that we just don't understand, Chris.
Yeah.
We don't have, a good grip on a lot of things when it comes into quote unquote the supernatural.
Mhm.
Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? I don't really know. But are there a lot of crazy things that happen on a negative, dark level? Yes. And also on a positive level.
Mhm.
So again, with all of it, I still have that deep respect for certain things.
Mhm.
I'll watch, I'll observe, but there's things that I just will never do.
Mhm.
But that's my choice. I don't go against people that take that chance. I think that's up to them.
Sure.
On everybody has free will. So
Mhm.
therefore, doing different things. I mean, I've been around a lot of different things, and again, I res- I respect a lot of stuff, and I have a good understanding of it
Mhm.
because one thing everybody has to remember: there's a lot of practices and everything that got taken and incorporated into organized religion. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they look at me and they'll go, what are you talking about? It says, if you ever really got into it and you started really researching a lot of this stuff, you'd have a better understanding of it and a better respect for, what path people choose to follow.
Sure. Yep. Yep. So you have dealt with a lot of cases that involve like dark activity, right?
Yes.
What would you say is like the biggest misconception that people have about investigating around negative energies like that?
That there isn't a demon coming up through the floorboards in every freaking house out there. They're far and few in between.
Mhm.
Can they be summoned? Yes. I think the misconception when we deal with something on a darker level or a negative level doesn't always necessarily mean we're dealing with devils and demons.
Mhm.
Again, everything consists of energy.
Right.
Thus, depending on how it's manifested, how it's harnessed, and what people do is the calculation on what to experience.
Hmm.
So I look at a lot of things, I think more from an open perspective because of so many different things I've been exposed to.
Right.
That's why I always laugh. And, again, I can't fix it. It's the ship has sailed. Everybody always thought that Ed and Lorraine were these, people that just followed everything by Christianity. No, they believed in their Catholicism. They followed their Catholicism. I met witches, pagans, all kinds of different people, Satanists and everything else through Ed and Lorraine. Again, meeting all those, that's what formed a lot of my opinions when I was younger with things to research things. And I remember, way back when being exposed to a Buddhist exorcism, going to rituals around, a fire. Again, witnessing a lot of these things is phenomenal to take that knowledge, to gain the knowledge. If a person chooses, to go down that highway or, do different things, that's up to them. But again, I always tell people when you're exposed to certain things and, you're gaining knowledge from it, that's an important avenue. Very important within our field with the darker cases.
Sure. That's cool. Thank you.
Welcome.
Has there ever been an item that you chose not to take because it was too risky?
Yes. Again, I remember over the course of years, there's some items, I got rid of, and now I'll take a look at it and just go to myself, I wish I kept that, but I'll throw things in a body of water or I'll bury items. I don't burn them. I don't break them. That, again, I feel is something that is reserved for different spiritual people to handle. People have a way of doing that and doing the correct method of doing it from the Christianity perspective of it. Again, that it doesn't work, the way it would. It works around me because I'm so freaking open-minded with everything that, again, I understand it when I witness that stuff. So it doesn't affect me like I've seen it affect a lot of other people. But again, the one funny joke and, the one item I always talk about, it was a doll about 2 foot. I was coming home. I was crossing the Housatonic River. And it was an old rickety bridge. I pulled off to the side and I was having all kinds of problems in the car. The radio was going on and off. The car was acting up and everything. Then I went to myself, okay, it's got something to do with the item, right? That's not worth keeping. So I'm on the side of the road, tied rocks to it, threw it off the bridge, wanted it to sink down into the water. And within, several minutes, cop cars came from every direction. And, I was fortunate, though. One of the cops was a paranormal investigator. So he walked up to me and he just looked at me, and I'm not going to say it exactly how he said it, but he goes, "Oh, man, please do me a favor. Don't throw stuff off the bridge during the day. We got to call that an old man just threw a baby off the bridge." So I said, okay. I'll never throw items off of the daylight ever again. And I haven't, unless it's been out in the woods or on a private piece of property that he could get thrown into a pond or something. So.
That would be that'd be an interesting interaction.
It was because it scared me because I couldn't figure out what the hell, I actually did, and it didn't dawn on me that people would call the police station in my hometown and tell them, this guy just threw a baby off the bridge. So, It was a crazy thing, but again, lesson well learned.
Right? Jesus, yeah, I would say so. So you have been in the paranormal field for a long time now, and I'm just curious, when was the first moment for you when you realized, oh, like there is something to this, like this is a real thing. I want to pursue this and I want to dig deeper into this.
Never thought I'd be a paranormal investigator, dude.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I was 15, 16. It was the middle of the week. The foot of my bed, big, tall, darker figure appeared, and it was shaking its head back and forth. So, I freaked out, ran downstairs, told my, now I grew up in the 70s, and it was a Wednesday night. I wasn't partying. I was behaving. I had school. So, anyways, told my mom, and she said, did it say or do anything? And I said, it just shook its head back and forth. She goes, well, Johnny, that was your grandfather, my father. I go, well, it didn't say anything or do anything. And she says, well, that was my father. He was a very stern man, really didn't say too much or do very, anything. He would just always shake his head. Well, and she said, make sure you tell my brother that story, meaning Ed Warren.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, and he goes, you mean you never believed in any of this? I said, no, never had no experiences. Nothing ever really happened. So, but that's what altered me. And then, like I said, I was fortunate after that because Ed and Lorraine only lived 20 minutes north of me, no matter the 3 locations I've lived in my whole life. And I would always bring stuff up. My mom would cook stuff. She'd go, take it up to my brother, take it up to my brother. I wouldn't. They'd be getting ready to go someplace. I'd jump in the car with them and go and, end up at, a church somewhere at an exorcism, end up at a deliverance being done, seeing Buddhists, seeing Native American do things. Who does that at 16 years old back then? In this, nobody, right? So, yeah, me, right? And again, it was interesting and everything because people often would say to me, what do you think of them and everything? I go, I don't know. They're my aunt and uncle and they chase Casper the Ghost. What do you want me to tell you? But it wasn't until later on that I looked at it from a totally different perspective and a different understanding of it when it came into a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what helped to form a lot of it at that age bracket. Mm-hmm. Again, 30 years of my life, I worked for a pharmaceutical, well, really 35 years, pharmaceutical company, developing surgical instruments and things of that nature. And I ended up going out chasing Casper the Ghost. You figure that one out.
It paid off. I mean, it worked.
It was interesting because when it comes into listening to a lot of different things, when you hear people talk about mediums or psychics or people that are gifted or anything, are there a lot of people out there that exaggerate and make stuff up? Yes, of course there is. I mean, that's the nature of it. But there is the true gift. And there's a lot of people I know that have that. And they use it in a correct perspective. So it's something that, I've learned to revere. There's 3 very gifted people in my life that aren't in the paranormal. They don't do readings. They don't do any of it. Out of the clear blue, sometimes they'll call me up and start telling me stuff, and I'll sit here and go, no freaking way you could have known it. No way. You don't even go on freaking Facebook and look at stuff or anything. So, it's unique when people have the true gift. You want to call it discernment or whatever you want to call it. But again, looking at a lot of that from that perspective, it's a thing that I always try to tell people to understand. And the other thing I always look at too, when you do deal with somebody that's gifted and they're picking up on stuff, and sometimes people look at them, well, that's got nothing to, doesn't mean anything to me, doesn't mean this, doesn't mean that. Yes, that's absolutely true. When they get information, it floods in from all different directions and different spirit starts giving them all kinds of information. It can have something to do with you, somebody that's with you, something you were involved with, something you're getting ready to get involved with. So I always tell people, take that in and listen to some of it, because a week or 2 can go by and all of a sudden you'll go, that's what they meant. That's what that message was all about. Ha. So again, that's how it works with a lot of that stuff when you get involved with that. Shoot, you're looking at a guy that went up Lilydale when I was 20 years old with my aunt and uncle. And I got to see table tipping.
Oh wow!
Now Tim Shaw, all you guys know Tim Shaw. Back then, he was part of the community. He used to call the older women up there the blue hairs because they were very rigid, and it was their way or the highway. So, anyways, I went in to watch them, and I went in, everything stopped, left, went back in. Third time I did it, a couple of the blue hairs, the old ladies started yelling at me, "Don't you keep breaking everything, you're breaking everything." I went downstairs, I started telling my uncle, and he goes, "Well, stay out of there." He says, "You're breaking it." And I go, "Does it make sense?" It does now. Makes perfect sense to me. I was breaking the energy field. I was breaking their concentration, and it was, actually affecting it. Now, did I go back up there and look, push the table, see if anything was there to push the legs or anything up? Of course I did. That was I said that to my uncle, Tony, busted out laughing. He goes, "Did you find anything?" I go, "No." And then he'd start laughing even more. So, it's things like that help to form the different ways I look at stuff today, I think.
That's a great answer. That's cool.
Yeah.
Long-winded, huh?
No, it's great.
No, it's fantastic.
That's perfect. I mean, I like it when people deep dive into stuff as opposed to being like, "Hey, what did you do last night?" Stuff, and that's it. So that's awesome. I love it.
Cool.
So let's see here. Let me see what else I have. I have a lot of questions.
Ask whatever you want. If I don't want to answer it, I'll just tell you next question.
Moving on.
Do you think, I don't know what your perception necessarily is on like the idea of the veil between the living and the dead being
I believe in it
or not being thin. But I'm curious as to whether you think the veil is actually getting thinner or more people are just aware within the groups of people that that are getting these pieces of info.
I think all of the above. I think all of us are living and seeing things we never thought we'd ever see again. I mean, I sit back and just like anybody else and look at what's happening and the destruction around our world, all these, countries and different things that are happening. If you ask me, even 4 or 5 years ago, did I think we would see something like that today? I would have said no. I think, again, with some of this, it's creating a phenomena that is thinning the veil. It's forcing it to thin because we have an enormous amount occurring and happening, an enormous amount of energies leaving the physical bodies unwillingly. It's being forced. Thus, I think is causing a lot of havoc within a lot of different things. There's one story that I talk about all the time. And we were up at the Shanley Hotel. Oh, yeah. And if you guys are familiar with it in upstate New York.
Shanley, yep.
Okay, It was with Ron and Lords. And Ron just had developed that new piece of equipment. Anyways, he had it going and he was trying to explain it to me and everything like that. And there was a voice coming through. There's like 7 or 8 of us there. And we were all sitting around the table. They kill us. They kill everybody. And it was talking in this voice, right? And I'm sitting there at the table, and I'm like, is anybody else freaking hearing this, or is it me? So finally, it kept happening. I went over and looked at Ron, and I said, "Ron," I said, "that's a woman, an old woman with a broken voice." Then I turned and I looked at her. Please tell me somebody else is hearing this. If you guys are familiar with Sam, Patrice, he was there. He jumped up. He got so emotional. He ran outside. Sandra was there. She got upset. She went out. So there was like 3 or 4 of us that had experienced it. That was right at the beginning stages of the Ukraine war.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that'll ever leave me. That bothered me for about 2 days afterwards. Oh, wow. That was occurring and it was happening. And how? I mean, it was like in that time framing, right then and there, and it wasn't that much more. It wasn't out in the forefront. You know what I'm saying? Out in the news like
Yeah.
it is now. How do these things occur? How do these things happen? How do they all connect? That's the supernatural.
Mhm.
That's what still keeps me going after all these years. You know, again, just the fact of witnessing and experiencing things like that. You can't make it up. You can't
Right.
create that energy to do something like that. There's no way, Jose. No way. So it was something that was a night I don't think I'll ever forget.
Wow.
You know, when you have your incredible aha moments, and it has nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with cameras, horns, bells, or whistles, but you experience stuff. It is the major portion of our field. And I tell so many people, again, we've lost that. That foundation is not there like it was to go in to a location, experience stuff. Yeah, do some EVPs, take a few pictures here and there, but again, it's that connection with some of that stuff happening isn't there. But don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the equipment, because if we don't use the equipment, we're never going to advance. So, again, I'm for everything. I'm not against anything. I mean, and I'm very frank and very honest with most people. You could show me some of this equipment, I wouldn't even freaking know how to turn it on. So, that's the nature of it. I still go by such that old world way of checking things out and investigating things, and you know resolving something. To me, it's still, I still go back to my foundation of it. It's not a good thing for being an investigator, and I admit it. Somebody's nearby or something and they need help. I don't think about worrying about all the gadgets, or worrying about this or worrying about that. If somebody needs help and I could tell they're legitimately frightened or scared, and there's something I could do to try and help them, uh, that's what again, that's all I'm interested in doing.
Mhm.
That's what it's about at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
that's how I still view it.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing being a paranormal investigator saying that.
It's kind of interesting because it kind of leads me into my next question for you. Like, when you go to some of these places, and I'm curious if you've experienced this, where you go to genuinely help somebody. You go to this location, you find out what's going on, you help them maybe clear the home, and then they call you a week later. Hey, whatever you got rid of is back, and it's I guess it's kind of a two-part question. One is, what do you suppose brings it back? And
Mm-hmm.
if you are genuinely helping things cross over, why do you think that those things reoccur?
Two situations could transpire.
Sure.
I believe very strongly that land, houses, and items can cause a disturbance, can cause the haunting and things to occur. And I also believe people can cause the haunting. And a lot of times you combine the both of them and you got a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Thus, you could be there, could get one situation straightened out, and something else could kick in. It's the same thing, but it's a combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to poke around a little bit to find out what's going on. And again, as most of us know, and a lot of us talk about it more openly today, a lot of people don't like to let things go. They like the attention.
Yeah.
So thus, that's another whole, ball of wax, so to speak, that, and I I don't have any qualms about telling a person, if you're not going to let it go, you're not going to get things, to calm down. I believe also too that you can coexist with spirit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, where years ago that was a big no-no. You weren't supposed to say that. You weren't supposed to agree with that. And I just feel that if you got a house that's a couple 100 years old, and the old lady's still kicking around in there, and fusses up every once in a while, you got to remember those people built, though, with their blood, sweat, and tears. They built these houses.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
they had no TV, no radio or anything. Their homes meant something to them. So thus, you're going to do something or going to do something and the spirit's going to kick up. That's not going to surprise me. And I'll tell people, sit down, come on, I'll sit with you. Let's talk with them. Let's see what we could do. And, maybe they'll calm down. I mean, sometimes people look at me like I'm crazy, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I earned it after all these years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say helps you to determine whether someone is actually experiencing a haunting versus maybe having some issues, maybe um, with some mental health things or other things that are going on?
That's again, the majority of the time when we go to these situations, it's a very, very important thing. What medications people are taking, are they under some type of doctor's care? Are they going to see, counseling, or are they involved with anything? And a lot of times people are afraid to say anything. I don't know why. I mean, again, if you have to reach out to a shrink or a counselor or something, I don't have any qualms with it. I've done it, so I I have no qualms saying it. I mean, it's human nature a lot of times when things happen and occur, and going to a complete stranger sometimes can help you sort through certain things that a friend or a family member can't. So, anyways, those are some of your elements, and bipolar, schizophrenia, and all these things are more understood today. And I do believe a lot of times when people are going through that there are issues that are tied in with all that. But again, um, you have to be guarded. You got to have to be careful on how you move forward with situations like that, because you really don't know. Sometimes when you're looking at it and trying to evaluate situations, you have to really take that step back. And sometimes you have to remove yourself from certain situations. Because one thing that drives me actually crazy out of my mind is when somebody calls me, John, I've been working on this case for 4 years and nothing's working. I have to help them. That's telling you something right there. You've been involved with that this length of time. You've done, soup to nuts on everything you could do. Nothing's working. That's telling you there's an element there that aren't going to be able to do anything about. And I always tell people, our job is to go in, help people, give them information, guide them,
Yeah.
and try to help them. We can't fix them. That's not our job.
Right.
So therefore, there are times you have to walk away. I can't tell you how many times I'll, have somebody call me up and, say to me, John, you walked off of, working that case. And I, will explain as much as I can to them. And, and they'll go, well, we're going to go in and see if we can fix it. And I go, okay, I just tried to explain that to you and tried to help you out a little bit there with information and guiding you along. And you want to take that step and get involved, that's your choice. Again, free will.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about something now. After everything you've seen, all the hauntings, the cursed objects, and all the years that you've been doing this, what do you think is the one truth about the paranormal you think that like the public still isn't really ready to hear?
That there's a whole realm that exists that people just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
There's this, again, when you get involved with a lot and you experience a lot, like, being in a lot of those different circles and witnessing different things, it's a whole realm that people would never comprehend or understand on how energy manifests, how energy can pull together, and how these energies can make things happen on a positive and on a negative.
Mm-hmm.
But the one part of that people do understand is the power of prayer, the power of meditating, the power, of humming. People can accept that. and they can embrace that. And I embrace all of that because it's all on a positive
Right.
to help, something to move forward. So again, with so much of that, it's something, a lot of times when I'm sitting and people throw certain things at me, and I'll just smile. And, again, it's your path. You have to learn what's on that path. You have to learn to what to do, how to do it, and make your choices. It's not up to me to do that. I can give you all the wackadoo info that's up in this old man's head, and it's up to you what you do and how you move forward. Mm-hmm. So I just perceive it that way with a lot of different things.
Sure.
And and it's a difficult and it's a hard thing because a lot of my foundation, comes from my uncle. Right. It really, really does. And it does come from Lorraine when, you'd be sitting around and, no one's around, the cameras weren't going, and the conversations that would occur and happen, people look at me and they go, that doesn't even sound like Ed and Lorraine. I go, no, we're talking about different people. Those were characters that, for the shows and everything else. So, but the wisdom that freaking guy had in his head was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Very earthy. Okay. My uncle was a very earthy person. Okay. And I say this because most people have never heard him do this. Genie in the bottle, genie in the bottle. We're getting the hell out of here. Genie in the bottle. He would not touch gin cases. But when he would do that, I was like, the hell is he talking about? Again, I didn't understand that, but I understand it now. Mm-hmm. Because, again, when you deal with those types of cases, that's a whole different element. And you have to go in and cut deals and all kinds of. Anyhow, it's a different world, but it's something that you have to hold on to and, keep with you. Because for many years, people would say to me, well, what was it like being around them? I don't know. They were Warren and Lorraine to me. I mean, it's just what they were. I mean, I didn't view it and look at it differently until he actually went down. When he went down, that's when I viewed things a lot differently because I was always the little kid. I was always I didn't worry about stuff. I would just call him and say something to him or her. Both of them. I mean, here's a story I don't think too many people have ever heard me talk about. It was, oh gosh, it's in my 30s maybe. We were working on a case, and the gentleman was trying to break away from this particular cult he was involved with. He was the high priest. And it was Halloween night, all right? Got done with the kids trick-or-treating, blah, 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 blah. Phone rang, and the woman called, and she was 7 months pregnant. Anyway, she was freaking out and everything. But in my mind, what registered was that she was so scared, I was afraid she was going to go into labor early. Oh, so that freaked me out. So I was like, do I dare go up there? It's Halloween night. I mean, I'm not talking about the trick-or-treaters and the people in the... We know what else ties in with all that, with the thinning of the veil that particular night and everything. All right. So I was like, I'm getting set up. I know I'm getting set up, but I have to help her. Right. So anyways, I get there. She's there. The husband was nowhere to be around or anything. And I was like, okay, what do? I don't know. This is kind of freaked out, got her calmed down and everything, and got one of the neighbors to come over with her. And I kept saying, where's your husband? She goes, I don't know. Anyways, I left, and I had going down the street, and we didn't have cell phones then. So I knew where she was. I called up Lorraine, and she goes, what in the hell were you thinking? She goes, of all nights to go up there. I go, the poor woman was in distress. She goes, John, that was a setup. Well, needless to say to you, I ended up having people follow me that night from that house. And they chased me all the way down the Route 25, all the way down into downtown Bridgeport. I'm speeding all over the place. And it's like finally I was going down side streets because I knew a lot of them. And I finally lost them. And I went back home and everything. And I called her back and, and I said to her, I said, I don't know, something crazy happened. Dead silence on the phone. And she goes, what? I said, somebody tried to follow me. She goes, I told you. And she goes, well, I can't say too much because you were trying to help the woman, dear. And she said, but did you learn a lesson? I go, oh, F yeah, I learned a lesson. Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, stories like that, a lot of times I just, randomly I'll remember them. And, when I do, I usually try to bring them up now so they're not lost or somewhere in the archives.
That's awesome.
That's an awesome story, though.
That is an awesome story.
That freaked me the hell out that night. No
I
pun
can't blame
intended.
you.
No pun intended.
Right? Jesus. Yeah, that'd be rough. But
Yeah.
some of the best lessons are learned the hard way, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us do. I mean,
yeah,
again, the majority of the things that I've learned, I would always, like a lot of people, take that chance and would go out there and get involved with something
yep.
and, get my butt handed to me on a platter.
Right.
So I'm no different than anybody else. Get
Right.
myself in some big jams and sit there at their kitchen table as the both of them would be screaming at me because of the stuff I got myself involved with.
Yeah. What did you do? That's funny.
And then I would always hear at the end of the conversation, you're just like him. You're just like him.
What is one or two pieces of advice you would give parents who have youth that are interested in paranormal type situations? I think it would be amazing to hear from you, your perspective as to what you would tell people.
Yes. I think it's important. We live in past 10 years between social media and everything else, there is no keeping our kids out of this stuff. There's
Right.
no way.
Yeah.
So again, I think them learning and understanding and gaining knowledge, on some of these things is a good thing, but letting them get directly involved, I think we got to be a little bit more guarded and careful with that. We are in charge of them. Their spirituality falls under us to guide them. Once they're old enough to make decisions, then they're on their own. They're going to learn just like we did. So again, it's an important element to watch and guide them and make sure they don't go down, a path that's going to be destructive for them. Because I see it and hear about it time and time again. I mean, you'll take a kid that's a straight A student, into soccer and football and everything else, to totally going off the deep end and won't have anything to do with anything. Don't get me wrong; it could be something happening at that point with mental illness. Also, that's a key factor. Doctors first, then look at it from another perspective. And it's a difficult thing today. With the kids, it really, really is. I always thought I kept all three of my kids pretty much sheltered from this, but boy, oh boy, when we all started doing the TV show and everything, I started finding out they knew a hell of a lot more than I ever realized they knew about the paranormal. But again, because I always kept them away from everything. And, again, it's something that people look at a little bit differently today. I understand some of it, but proceed with caution, because we are in charge of those little people there. We're in charge of the developing and how they're going to start to grow into, the community of the world and being a part of it. And understanding and gaining knowledge is the most powerful tool you could ever have, especially with the supernatural.
Mhm. Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, totally. Earlier you had talked about, different cultures, different religions, things like that, right? I'm curious, in investigations, say you're going into someplace like New Orleans, for example, there's a lot of voodoo type of stuff, and their gods and goddesses or whatever are very different than, say, the Catholic or Christian gods. If somebody has a Christian faith or a Catholic faith and they use, say, the power of Christ compels you, for lack of a better phrase, do you find validity in those statements to help solve these voodoo type of energies, or should they be met with their counterparts, if that makes sense?
I believe both.
Okay.
Okay. I believe a lot of it has to do with an individual.
Yeah.
Um, I love New Orleans. It's just freaking so cool down there. We were
Yeah.
shooting an episode not that far away from there. You know, going into downtown. I mean, all of us got so freaking drunk. We were right there with all the kids from college. We had a blast. It was great. But anyhow, different type of spirit.
Yeah.
But you know, with the combo of that, I deal with that all the time. You know, voodoo or Satanism or anything like that.
Sure.
You have to take into consideration what are we actually dealing with, and what is that person's belief system.
Mhm.
You know, what path are they on? You know, that you're going to be able to help them, or is it something they need to get involved with somebody else, you know, on what they're doing or what they're getting involved with.
Mhm.
You know, to me, that's a very important element to look at when getting involved with stuff.
Mhm.
This is another freaking story. When we were down there shooting and we had gone to New Orleans and we were all walking around and everything. We know how you guys have been down there. Both of you have been down there.
I have not been
No,
to New
this will be
Orleans.
my
I'd love
first
to go,
time.
but
Ew. Go, dude, go. Anyhow, all the shops are open and all the voodoo's going on and everything's happening and, you know, everything. And there was one shop we were walking by and I was with a couple of the producers and everything, and big, bulky guy comes out and starts screaming and yelling and looking at me and everything else. One of my producers almost shit his pants because he goes, "Why is he picking on you? Why is he picking?" Could be something he's seeing around me, or I don't know what the reasoning was, but I was curious to find out what, because he kept come in, and they're grabbing me and they're going, "No, you're not going." And I was like, I've been in worse situations than this. What are they gonna do? Cook me up? What? So I went in and I was just curious to see what it was all about. And he started laughing and joking. And he goes, he goes, "You don't fear." I go, "Oh, I do fear." I said, again, I was curious to see what you're referring to and what it was that you saw. And he said, "I just saw a couple of spirits near you." I went, "Okay." And that was the end of it.
yeah.
So, but again, I'll never forget that one grabbed me here and the other one grabbed. No, you're not going in there. You're not going in there. We got filming to do. We can't lose you.
Yeah, right. For the love of God, John, stay with us.
Oh God,
that's funny. That's good.
that was a good.
Hysterical.
I don't. What's that? 20 years ago? I don't even remember now. 2013, 2013. Yeah, I don't know, somewhere around there. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This will be my first time coming to New Orleans, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, your first time going down there?
Yes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a good time down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy. Take it all in because there's just so much, between the locations and the places, and I'm looking so forward to doing the Paracon down there this year and being together with everybody. Okay. Again, Christian. I don't know if you're familiar with Christian from up in Salem. He's down there now, and he's got his shop and everything like that. Well, shoot, I've known him for so many freaking years. It's not even funny. So I mean, I just laugh because people go, some of them up there, and I go, my God, Lorraine was good friends with Lori Cannon. I'm not kidding either, because I would go up later on years and I would stop to see her and I would talk to her and I go, "Lorraine's nephew," and she goes, "Yes, I remember you," and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, there was just so many different people I know up there, from over the course of the years and became friends with. So, again, be good to see him. I haven't seen him in years.
So when it comes to like the paranormal, when people are first starting out, what would you recommend as far as learning tools or techniques when it comes to their growth within paranormal understanding?
Start at the bottom. Um, Again, today we got this whole world of YouTubing and just going into a place, screaming and hollering, and horns, bells, and whistles flying each way. And again, the foundation of a lot of this, it isn't really being carried on. A lot of our social contact with people, individuals, is so different today compared to when I started in the field. You went to these places to go meet these people or get involved with things. Today, so much revolves around social media with the connections. So again, with a lot of it, it's a very different, humbling environment compared to what we were. I don't know if that could be recaptured or not due to technology. Seriously, I just don't know. We all know that. We all sit back and watch that. We all see this at the different things we attend and everything. A lot of the younger people, what are they doing? They're on their cell phones. Yeah, and I'm like, well, you're out here. Go listen to the speakers. Go, talk to this one or do that, and intermingle a little bit. And a lot of that, it's difficult for a lot of the kids because they weren't brought up that way. They weren't, they weren't brought up like we'd get thrown out of the house when we were kids and we didn't go back until it got dark. I mean, that's just the nature of what our parents did. Mm-hmm. So again, and everybody's parents would look out for each other's kids. And, so I think starting it with a lot of this today, it's more that these kids that come into it now are more on the techie end of it than they are on the spiritual realm of it. My opinion of it. It's different. It's a lot different now. Yeah. And again, I just watch it, because I'm very big into colleges and universities lecturing, and watching the kids in comparison to just 3 or 4 years ago is so different. They're totally different from what it was all about, or really getting into the meat of it. And again, it's the nature of it. So it's a lot difficult, today, Raven, for people starting, I think, compared to the old days with, sitting down and, doing things. Shoot, I remember when I started learning spiritualism, the religion, I was interested in all that transfiguration and out of body experiences and, past lives, regression and all that different stuff. I remember because I was so deeply, I really got into it because I wanted to learn all of it and everything. And my mother had said something to my uncle one day when he was over the house. He turned and looked at me. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, they do this, they do that." He goes, "What?" He said, "What are you talking about?" So then I just told him. I said, "Well, they're spiritualists." Oh! He freaked out. He said, "What are you getting?" Blah, 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 blah. And I said, "Well, I'm not gonna. I want to learn it. I want to know what it's about." So I did. I stuck with it and learned it, and saw some amazing things happen. With that.
Yeah. It's funny. I also deep dove into spiritualism and became a spiritualist minister myself. So
cool, yeah. Dude. Cool.
Yeah, it was wicked cool. And I think really their embracing of all these different metaphysical topics and mediumship, especially, really just really brought me in. But I'm curious, John. Having grown up around and now having worked with some very well known and influential investigators. How do you reflect on your own contributions, knowing that you've inspired, generations of paranormal investigators and solidified your own mark on the field?
Just, I don't know. Are you asking me how do I want to be remembered, or
no? Just when you kind of think back on all of your contributions and the fact that you have made such a mark on the field, like how does it make you feel? What do you go through? And what do you hope to accomplish in the future, I guess, too?
I don't know. See, I
know it's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. No, not really. But it's a difficult thing for me because I don't look at myself as somebody. I look at myself, like you, Raven, I don't, I don't know. I don't look at myself at a different perspective of different things. What makes me feel real good inside is when somebody will say to me, Johnny, I was at a lecture of yours, or Johnny, I was at a class that you were at and listened to you, and some of the things that you were saying or doing, help me out and help me to, learn things and understand things. That means more than anything.
That's
If
kind of
that
what I was
makes,
getting at. Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
yeah, that's like, if you just walked up to me and you just said to me, you decided to become a spiritualist minister. A lot of times, especially years ago, you would get that look from people like
Yeah.
you're Satanist, but and again, people. That's what I'm saying. People don't understand the different. Well, there's different levels with all that too, but that's another whole. Anyways, but what I'm getting at is that I think I look and I think I helped contribute to the fact of knocking down some of the walls, knocking down some of the barriers with some of it so that people could get a better understanding of some of this stuff. There's
Yeah.
so much knowledge out there, and so many people have so much knowledge to share,
Mhm.
and I think it's a good thing to bring it to the forefront and to be able to share it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do have to say personally, I think that your contributions and the fact that your knowledge has really helped a lot of people. So I thank you for just sharing it and just being a part of this whole paranormal craziness.
I wouldn't change a freaking thing. I
Mhm.
wouldn't change anything.
Mhm.
Watching it, I went from when we were just a small community
Right.
where there wasn't very many people. Jason Hawes, I knew him before his freaking kids were born. I mean, you got to remember, this is, when I deal with a lot of people, Grant, Jason, Steve, any of them, even Zach. I mean, again, I know him. I'm not good friends with him, but I know him, and he's been to the house a couple of different times, and sitting and talking and having conversations with a lot of these people is so totally different because people will go, "Oh, I wonder what they're talking about. I wonder what they're talking about." And somebody will walk up to me and go, "I just saw you and Jason out there talking. What are you talking about?" Kids,
Yeah.
houses,
Yeah.
what we just fixed, the
Yeah.
snow, the weather,
Taxes.
taxes.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about when we talk.
Right.
We don't talk usually about the paranormal. We really don't. I
Right.
mean, again, with a lot of the guys, we talk about the kids. We're talking about what they're doing, and just totally different, stuff on that level in comparison to what people would think we would be talking about. So I don't know.
That's awesome. That's cool. Thank you.
Okay, there's a couple of different people. I know. Everybody keeps asking me, if I'm going to end up starting, some type of a show or something. Again, there's one thing that happened with me when I got older, and I don't know what it was. I don't rush to do too many things anymore. But I'm still looking. I'm still, looking through a lot of different things on what that road is that I want to go down yet.
Sure.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's a complicated. Uh, it's really not complicated. I got people screaming at me left and right. Johnny, you're making a bigger deal out of it than it really is. No, I'm not. I know me, and I know what I want to do, where I want to go. So
Right.
it's just the way I'm perceiving it, and with our world is changing so much with the way we view things and watch things. So much is YouTube now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when it comes to regular TV or anything, I don't even know too many people that watch the regular, you know, TV. Everybody's streaming. I
Yeah.
mean, shoot, it killed me to do it, but I finally did it and switched over to mainly all streaming of a lot of different things. So,
I mean, you're kind of
yeah,
forced to nowadays anyway, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, but eventually I'll figure out a little bit on what I'd like to do, how I would like to move forward with doing quote unquote a project.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't rule out any certain in particular thing with you know eh, moving forward with something, but I will eventually. I will eventually.
We're
Nice.
all looking forward to it.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's the other thing too. I sit back and laugh, and I go, "Yo," I'll say to myself, "Who the hell's going to want to sit and watch me?" I mean, again, I don't view myself like that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know. I just don't look at it that way at all.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know?
So, what are your favorite types of snacks to bring on a paranormal investigation?
Unfortunately, it's those white powder donuts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I end up making myself sick because I won't stop eating them.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
Uh, Usually, normally, there isn't too much that I will bring with me. I mean, a lot of times, we'll go to get something to eat before we go out to do something, or, it used to be a big thing going to the diners after you got done doing an investigation. Well, now everything's closed at night. It's hard to find things open to
Right.
go grab a snack or a cup of coffee and chit chat a lot of times. So, but I mean, again, it's just I don't know, whatever's there. If there's cookies, but mainly my donuts and coffee. I got those two things. I'm usually a happy camper.
Oh,
Gotta have the coffee.
gotta have the
Gotta
coffee.
gotta
Yeah,
have the coffee.
it's huge.
Gotta have the coffee.
Yeah. So you said you grew up in the '70s, right?
Yep.
What's as a musician, I'm always curious. What's your favorite band from that time?
Oh, dude, don't even go there. Don't
I'm
even go.
going there.
No, no. It's you name it, dude. You
Yep.
name it. Again. Okay. Here's what's weird with that is that I'm very moody with music.
Okay.
I enjoy listening to classical music.
All right.
I could be where I love my 50s and 60s bebop around. I freaking love that. Or I just get down, hard rock. I mean, it depends on what kind of a mood I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sitting listening to Ozzy or listening to any of those guys. I grew up with all that shit. So,
Yeah.
none of that is anything unusual. Shoot, I remember just when a couple of times talking to Jack, I said, "Well, Christ, I grew up with your father." I said, "Now watching him scared of freaking Robert the Doll is hysterical." Meaning
Yeah.
Ozzy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, a lot of that stuff, I just, again, it depends on what kind of a mood I'm in with music.
That's fair. Yep.
I could be very, very mellow. I could be very somber,
Mm-hmm.
or I could be where I just want to balls to the walls. It depends on what kind of a mood I'm in.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of very similar in that way as well.
Huh?
Me too.
Okay. Yeah. So I
Sorry,
mean,
I'm like,
I can't go into a bar now, dude, and sit and listen
yeah.
to the music. It freaking kills my head. I went, oh my God, I got old because I can't hear anybody talk. I can't
Yeah.
hear anybody or anything, and I can't take it, and I end up with a wicked headache. So
Yeah. That's right. I usually do about an hour or so drive from right before the show, right, to get to home. And on my way up, I was listening to like old school Chicago.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, it was back when Terry Kath was just shredding on guitar, and just so that made me think of the question, but
Well, I grew up with all that, and I had two older sisters, so I grew up, listening to the 50s and 60s music all the time with
I
them,
yeah,
bopping around with the beehives and all that bullshit. So, again, a lot of
the
that
Turtles
music's
and Herman's Hermits and shit.
oh yeah, all that stuff stuck with me. So again, it's like very moody with certain types of when it comes into music.
Yeah, yeah.
What about favorite types of movies?
My favorite time are the old time classic horror movies.
Yeah.
I freaking Haunted Hill, Haunted House on the Hill. I mean, things like that. I can just, Rosemary's Baby. I just
Mhm.
freaking love the old time classics. I just never get tired of watching some. I can watch them again and again and again, and it just doesn't bother me, to do that. Um, I guess when it comes into a lot of things, it's funny because I like watching a lot of documentaries on history or
Mhm.
old castles or a lot of stuff like that. I'll sit and watch, or things about all the old time Hollywood.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love stuff like that. And I could just sit and watch stuff like that or old classic movies too.
Mhm.
Just like Betty Davis. I freaking love Betty Davis. I mean, she was a bitch on wheels, but I love her. Joan Crawford, another one, bitch on wheels, but I love her.
Mhm.
Again, classic people, and stuff like that. I love, 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 love watching a lot of those old time movies like that and everything. Shoot, sometimes my wife and I'll just sit for 4 or 5 hours just watching old time movies.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, you can't beat them. Can't beat
Yeah,
them.
that's cool.
Can't beat them. Yep.
Well, I do have one final question for you, John, from my end anyway. When I first met you, it was at Parafest at Vassalboro, Maine, many
Okay.
years ago, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so far things, COVID changed a lot of things, but beside all that, have you found over the years that there's been a progression or a positive to the way conventions go these days? And as
I,
opposed to years and years ago, as opposed to now, like how has that changed, or if at all?
oh, it's dramatically changed.
Okay.
I foresee not necessarily, on a negative perspective.
Sure. Yeah.
What I like seeing and I enjoy a lot of times with the conventions is the mixture of people.
Yeah.
The people from the movies and crypto people and paranormal people and, you know, just all the different people. What bothers me about all the conventions is I love to go see some people talk. And when you leave your table, a lot of times people get ticked off at you all the time because, and I wander something terrible as it is. I go visit this one, that one. Raven will tell you that I'm walking all over the floor, just going around because I like to talk to everybody.
Right.
And I like to see what everybody's got at their tables and what they're doing, what they're up to. And, then a lot of times people say to me, John, you have to stay at your table a little bit. And I go, yeah. But,
Yeah.
with them, I think, they're very constructive. I think a lot can be gained, especially when they're doing the workshops and the little seminars and the different things, at these conventions. That's a very important thing. I mean, there's several major ones, that I'm at, this year, and, a lot of times I'll just look because the things will pop up and I'll go, ooh, I never met them. Ooh, I can't wait to meet them. Ooh,
Mhm.
I can't wait to talk to them. And a lot of times you don't get the opportunity because we're always so busy,
Yeah.
intermingling and dealing and everything. It gets difficult, but we try to intermingle and or I do, and talk to people. So to me, that's an important element. That's one thing I can't probably ever let go of
Mhm.
is the fact that to me, when I do, a lot of the conventions, I'm personal friends with a lot of the people, that put these conventions on and everything. And when they're successful and everything, that it's so good to see that the amount of work that goes into, I don't know how any of them do it. I really don't. It's so much work to
Mhm.
pulling these things together, arranging things and trying to get things to run smooth. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Totally amazing. But there's a lot of people that do a good job with, with the conventions out there. And
Mhm.
I'm thankful that I still get asked to do some of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
We were across the aisle from each other at the Maine Para Horror Convention this past September.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a good one.
That was a great one.
They kicked butt. They did a good job the first year out. And again, they'll all tell you that I said that to each and every one of them. I said, you guys organized this, pulled this together, and did one heck of a job for your first year. So
Yeah, it was wild.
kudos to them.
Yeah.
You gonna be back this year?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, I'll see you there.
If
Yeah.
I get, usually if I get asked, I will definitely go back.
Speaking
Nice.
of the events, where can people find information on the different events you might be at if they want to come see you?
The best way is just to go onto Facebook, John Zaffis,
Mhm.
and look, because I always post on there the different events I'm at and the different things that I get involved with out there. Um, there's not too many of the things that I don't post on there, and one of the biggest reasons I find that important to do that to help the promoters too. I
Mhm.
mean, they need as much help from us that are participating in there to advertise for them and to help them also,
Mhm.
because that helps them to build up and you know uh, get their conventions off the ground and doing a lot of different things. So
Absolutely.
I find a lot of that. Like I said, it's it's cool, it's interesting, and love doing them. Love
Yeah.
doing them.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to come on our show and hang out with us. It means a lot to us. And
Yeah.
we're going
Well,
to ask Gwen to come back up.
okay. Where is she?
There
Here
she is.
Oh my
I am.
gosh! I missed that seeing you for 5 minutes.
I love you so much. So I have to say this, Mr. Johnny. If you ever decide to do a podcast, I know somebody. Just say it. I know somebody.
Okay.
It would be an honor. He just doesn't know, does he? So I look forward to it. Yeah, I
Thank you
love
so
it.
much.
Oh yeah, I'm being serious though. If you ever did want to do a podcast, we would be more
Thank
than
you.
honored, man.
I appreciate that.
And I know everybody would watch it. I do. I promise you.
Well, I want to ask the three of you a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's start with Gwen.
Oh Lord.
What would you like to see in our field move forward? What would you like to see advance?
It's not the tech stuff. Honestly, it's more unity, and I know that's a cheesy
Whoa,
thing
that's
to
a big
say.
tall order. Whoa.
It is. You guys think about it when we all try to get along. Even if you don't like somebody, try to get along. Just try. Just give it a try. Because honestly, some of the drama ruins some of the good locations and good friends you could have. You don't have to love everybody. Just try. Try to get along. I try, and there's some people out there I can't stand to be around. And you never know it. You never know it. So that's my big.
Is
I'm asking for the
is
world.
that another trait you picked up from me?
I think I did. I really do. Oh yeah, I do. But that's my thing. I'm asking for the world, but what could we say?
Raven, what are you thinking?
I think it would be good to have more schools for people that are interested in this kind of work with educators and instructors that can really help people understand the foundations of this kind of field and understand the seriousness of what they're potentially diving into. And perhaps even integrating different traditions and walks of different like for example, we had talked earlier about voodoo or like some of the other types of religious paths and looking
Mm-hmm.
at in those haunted locations, like how traditionally would they, deal with certain things, what people can connect together a little bit, further in that regard if they end up going to a location where, oh my goodness, this is their specific tradition and value set. I don't know this. Having those kinds of things and educational systems, I think, would be very valuable for society.
Cool. Cool. Christopher, what are you thinking?
Honestly, I would love to see more, scientific research put into, we talked about people with gifts, right? And I'd love to really not to, highlight the name of the show, but for science to find the frequency that mediumship floats on, or spiritual communication from a living person to a person in spirit and how that works. Right now it seems like it's more of a, a pseudoscience and people don't put a lot of credibility into it. And I think that once science really embraces it and finds out how it works truly, then I think that could open up a whole new world for paranormal investigators, for the whole field in general. At least that's just where I'm coming from.
Cool.
I got you.
Very, very good. That's good. Well, Druno, again, with they're working on it. They're pulling it together with so many of the different people. I see there some of them that are in here tonight too.
Yep.
Good to see them. And again, they're trying to do that and pull that together with encompassing all that and bringing it together, as a whole to be able to teach and move forward. So again, that's something I look at and it's on a positive level.
Mhm.
So again, those two, again, two more adopted kids I have under my
There you
belt.
go. Hey, if you guys
Very
don't mind
incredible.
me plugging something, as a matter of
Go
fact,
ahead.
it's for the network too. But Thomas has an announcement tomorrow night about the Connecticut Paracon. We're going to do that at 7:00 on All Access. So
Cool.
join. I'm gonna be popping it out everywhere I can tomorrow. You guys share it when you see it, please, because he has an announcement at 7:00 Eastern. Let me say it, Eastern tomorrow night. He's going to do it on our channel, which is awesome. And Thomas has his own podcast coming back soon. He's a busy guy, but he wants to do that. Oh, yep. Here we go. Here, yep. And Stacia. Yep. Love it when my people. And Christy, I have to say, you guys may not know this, but Christy, who tries to view all of our podcasts, she is from Australia. So that's very cool.
That's very cool.
Well, all positive. All positive. It's what's
Awesome.
good.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
It's
being
been a
on.
blast.
Funny.
Good to chat with everybody, and we'll be seeing everybody soon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Have a good night, John.
Yep.
Thanks,
All right.
John.
All right, guys. I want you to take us out of here.
You got it.
Well, that was fun.
That was awesome. That was super cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will be back on next Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And we will be making an announcement as to who our guest is on our Facebook. So if you're watching that, make sure to tune in. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in.